The purpose of the practice is to manifest the Buddha nature, the ultimate source of happiness, the Tathagata Garbha within us, by removing the two mental obscurations, afflictive obscurations, which consist of contaminated karmas, afflictions, and the active seeds of the two, and the cognitive obscurations, the more subtle stains, consisting of the smell-like latent seeds, the inactive seeds of the afflictions and contaminated karmas. We start with the prayers. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is freed of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all leads hearers seeking pacification to complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths causes those happy migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience helps subduers expound a variety of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata and protector, to you I make prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. I go for refuge until I enlighten to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I enlighten to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I enlighten to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanghe chodam sogi chodam la chamjo bhado dhame kyapsu chi dhake jinso gipe sopnam ki choda pencher sanghe drupar sho. Sanghe chodam sogi chodam la chamjo bhado dhame kyapsu chi dhake jinso gipe sopnam ki choda pencher sanghe drupar sho. Sanghe chodam sogi chodam la chamjo bhado dhame kyapsu chi dhake jinso gipe sopnam ki choda pencher sanghe drupar sho. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato navada tesham chayo virodha evam vadi mahashamanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato navada
Tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashamanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavadat Tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashamanaye swaha.
All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-light and non-composite, such is the nectar-like dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I will retire into the woods. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of Buddhas of the three times, I pay obeisance. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of all, I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of aeons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in misery's gloom. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Page 14, Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the four destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme science face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Thus free like you, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparable wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the Tathagata I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly, this is the teaching of the Buddha. Star, visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of falls, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Page 31, Heart Sutra Mantra. Ayatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhi Swaha Tatva Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhi Swaha 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 Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhi Swaha. Page 32, 8 verses of mind training. With the determination to achieve the highest aim for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem, may I hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as the lowest amongst all, and from the very depths of my heart, respectfully hold others as superior. In all my deeds, may I probe into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront them and avert them. When I see beings of unpleasant character, oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, may I hold them dear, for their rare to find, as if I have discovered a jeweled treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with abuse, slander, and scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone whom I have helped or in whom I have placed great hopes mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may I regard them still as my precious teacher. In grief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. May all this remain undefiled by the stains of the 8 mundane concerns, and may I, recognizing all things as illusions, devoid of meaning, be released from bondage. From my 2 collections, vast estates that I have amassed, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom is blinded by ignorance. Page 39, the foundation of all good qualities. The foundation of all good qualities is the kind and perfect pure Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly, day and night, takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of virtuous and non-virtuous karma follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful, to abandon even the slightest negativity, and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Samsaric splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Seeking them is the door to all suffering. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. The root of the teachings is keeping the pratimoksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, so have all mother migratory beings. Please bless me to see this, train in supreme bodhicitta, and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. I develop bodhicitta, but I don't practice the three types of morality. I will not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I have pacified distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyze the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of calm abiding and special insight. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the two attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I have become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pledges like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the two stages, the essence of Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Guru who showed the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice it have long lives. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. In all my lives, never separated from perfect Gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent dharma. By completing the qualities of the stages in the past, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Page 73. 3 principal aspects of the path. I bow down to the Venerable Lamas. As well as I am able, I will explain the essence of all the teachings of the conqueror, the path praised by the conqueror's children, the entrance for those who desire liberation. Listen with a clear mind, you fortunate ones, who are not attached to the joys of cyclic existence. Strive to make good use of leisure and opportunity. Guide your minds to the path that pleases the Buddhas. Without pure renunciation, an end to attraction for the pleasures of cyclic existence is unattainable. The craving for existence also binds beings. Thus, from the outset, seek renunciation. Reverse attraction to this life by reflecting on how leisure and opportunity are difficult to find, and how life is ephemeral and without span. Reverse attraction to future lives by repeatedly thinking of the infallibility of karma and its effects, and the miseries of samsara. Contemplating thus, when for an instant you do not admire the splendors of cyclic existence, and remain intent on liberation day and night, renunciation is born in you then. Renunciation, if not tempered by a pure mind of bodhicitta, however, does not bring forth the perfect bliss of unsurpassed enlightenment. Therefore, the wise ones generate the excellent mind of bodhicitta. Swept up in the current of the 4 powerful rivers, tied by strong bonds of karma so hard to undo, caught in the iron net of self-grasping, completely enveloped by the darkness of ignorance, born and reborn in boundless cyclic existence, ceaselessly tormented by the 3 miseries, Thinking of your mothers in this condition, generate the supreme mind of bodhicitta. Although you train in renunciation and the mind of bodhicitta, without wisdom that realizes the ultimate reality, you cannot cut the root of cyclic existence. Therefore, strive to understand dependent arising. One who sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana, and destroys all focuses of apprehension, has entered the path which pleases the Buddha. Appearances are infallible dependent arising. Emptiness is the understanding that is free of assertions. As long as these two are seen as distinct, you have not yet realized the intent of the Buddha. When these two realizations are concurrent, where the mere sight of infallible dependent origination concurrently destroys all modes of grasping through definite discernment, at that time the analysis of the profound view is perfected. Furthermore, appearances refute the extreme of existence, emptiness refutes the extreme of non-existence. When you understand that emptiness arises in the form of cause and effect, you are not captivated by the views of extremes. O my child, once you have thus realized the points of the three principal paths, seek solitude and cultivate strong determination, and quickly reach the final goal.
Okay. We're continuing with the Wheel of Life. Wheel of Life. Now going into more detail of how to, knowing that the Wheel of Life, how the innermost circle depicting afflictions give rise to the second circle depicting contaminant karmas, which in turn gives rise to the third circle depicting miseries, depicting suffering, depicting miseries. So how these three things are linked, innermost circle to the second, to the third, how these three things are linked is explained in great detail by the fourth circle. Okay, so the now we're doing as to say after knowing this, and also that knowing the 5 points related to Aranagarjuna's Mulamadhyamaka Karika, where he said the ceasing of afflictions and karma leads to nirvana, and then what? Afflictions and contaminant karmas arise from inappropriate attention, which in turn arises from elaboration of self-grasping ignorance, and the elaboration of self-grasping ignorance ceases or stops through the wisdom of emptiness. So this is what we have learned. So from this, we come to realize that okay, I'm very happy. One, I'm very happy that that people are very consistent with these classes, not in the diploma course and also not in the master's course. From there, I could see that individually when I meet them individually, from what was the thinking of the person. The first time I met, compared to today that I'm meeting, compared to meeting more recently, I see that people, they become more confident. They become more confident about what is going in your own mind, how the mind works. And then then realizing the future, realizing the past, future and past, meaning that, okay, if I go like this, then this is what will happen to me in the future, and the past was like this. So from there, people tend to become very confident in conviction in the process of the mind, the workings of the mind, and so forth, which is extremely, extremely meaningful, right? Okay, for that matter, and otherwise, we can have a very, let's say, earlier Tibet House, we used to have some intensive courses like 3 days. I think the first intensive course which we had was on Ratnamala by Aranyagarjuna, Ratnamala. I think it was initially planned for about 5 days, then we added 2 more days. I remember that very clearly. I think back in 2009 or 2010, about 8 years ago. And so the intensive courses, it is like, say, the fire on the dry grass. Fire on the dry grass. Say from the distance, if you see the lawn or the pastures with the dry grass on fire, you will see a story so urgent, very forceful, as though the whole world is burning. You go there, finish, nothing's left there. Because it's just a grass, and the ground is very stable, right? Nothing's really there. So this is what I've sensed, that when we do intensive courses, then on the spot, I can sense that people are getting something. Then after, say, they're meeting the same person after 6 months, 7 months, meeting the same person, and then have some discussions. Again, the person goes back to square one or square zero. What is that? Back to square one, right? Okay, this was what I sensed. Now, with this, not in the master's course and not in the diploma course, where I'm meeting with people, I'll say once in a while, I could see that there's a stability taking place. Thinking becomes very stable, and they become very confident. This is something which is such a joy for me. Okay, so the point is that from this learning, that the individuals should become happier, right? Whatever religion they're accepting, is fine. The point is that you should become happier, and you should become someone earlier, maybe creating problems on the parents, shouting on the parents. Now, instead of shouting, right, the parents become very happy to see you. The earlier times they love you, but they don't dare to touch you. They don't dare to, look at you or come close to you, because any moment you may shout. So now you become very calm, peaceful, happy. The parents are so happy, and seeing that the parents are very happy, again you resonate back with the increased happiness. If this is happening, then the purpose is accomplished. So such a happy person will in most likelihood will not engage in, say, the mischiefs in the world, right? Okay, so with this in mind, we were talking about how to finally get out of the miseries. To get out of the miseries, we need to know what the causes. Say the miseries. If we don't want to have the miseries, we need to know how to get rid of the miseries. To know how to get rid of the miseries, we need to know how to get rid of the causes of the miseries. To know how to get rid of the causes of the miseries, we need to know what the causes of miseries are, right? And the causes of miseries, they are not as simple. The same contaminant karmas, afflictions, inappropriate attention, and the self-grasping ignorance. So there are all these, say, the ripples of the causes of the miseries. So that way, we need to cut. First of all, we need to cut the contaminated karmas, particularly the non-virtuous karmas. For that, what we've learned is that non-virtuous karmas, although there are millions and trillions of them, from our side, see how much we can get rid of what is, say, in simple terms, say, put them together in the form of 10 non-virtuous karmas, how to get into 10 non-virtuous karmas. So that is something, if you know what these 10 non-virtuous karmas are, then we don't really require a very profound intellectual inquiry or philosophical understanding and so forth. This is something very obvious that we take steps. We take steps to reduce these non-virtuous karmas. 3 physical, then 4 verbal, and 3 mental. So this is what we have to try. We have to try, give a try to take steps to curb these 10 non-virtuous karmas to the best we can. This is so important, right? Okay, this is one part which we did. Now to get rid of these non-virtuous karmas, then to go a little more into deeper, meaning that say for example, to get rid of non-virtuous karmas, for example, okay, let's say that if somebody has a cataract, right, you remove the cataract, and then again, say after a while, again it'll come back. Likewise, non-virtuous karmas, see how much we can get rid of the non-virtuous karmas, plus tackle the cause of the non-virtuous karmas. Cause of non-virtuous karmas, what are the causes of the non-virtuous karmas? What are the causes of non-virtuous karmas? Okay, see the afflictions, right? So what we said, afflictions such as attachment, aversion, and ignorance. Okay, afflictions. So we also learned how to deal with afflictions. To deal with afflictions, that is a little more complicated than dealing with the non-virtuous karmas. Non-virtuous karmas is pretty straightforward for us to tackle. Even if somebody is not really learned as much, still the person can actually practice refraining from the 10 non-virtuous karmas. But the afflictions, attachment, aversion, ignorance, then despite, belligerence, and so forth, to get rid of these non-virtuous karmas, the afflictions, right? It is not easy. So for that matter, we have to first of all identify what these afflictions are. And so for that, what we learned is we learned the 3 families, 3 afflictive families, or the families of afflictions: attachment, aversion, and ignorance. For the attachment, I'll say what exactly does mean by attachment? What exactly does mean by aversion? Right? We also dealt with these separately. And then for the attachment, it is involuntary pull towards the object, and the attachment, involuntary push by the object. So how to get rid of these? We also spoke about the means to get rid of these problems. Then the last class we were dealing with the what causes the afflictions: inappropriate attention and self-grasping, ignorance. So how to get rid of this ignorance? This is what we were touching. Of course, what we're doing here, this is in more like the kind of summary, or kind of say the just overall picture, blueprint. It's not really into so much detail. For the details, we have to study emptiness, concept of dependent origination, all these things, and that too, how the concept of emptiness is explained by the different philosophical schools. This is what we have to study in greater detail. So now here is more like a continuation from what we were doing of the blueprint of how to deal with the ignorance. Okay, so we are talking about the object is the subject. You remember that? Object is the subject. We were talking about the movie that we were watching. For example, so you were watching a movie in the movie theater. So the movie is, where is the movie? 2 questions. First question, where is the movie? The movie is on the screen. And where is the movie coming from? From the projector behind you. You getting it? So the screen is metaphor for object, and the projector is metaphor for subject. You getting it? Right? For example, so now taking it more closely to the reality, say when you dream, imagine that you dream of, say, back to when you were in school, right? school, exam tension, exam stress. How many of you have the experience of exam stress when you were in school? Huh? How many of you do not have any exam stress? Easy go lucky boy. How many of you? Okay, I'm sure everybody's very serious. Okay, so the point is that let's say that you dream of being back in the school like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, whatever. You're back in school and facing the exam tension. You getting it? Okay, so there was so much of, okay, in fact in my personal anecdote, nowadays the dream stopped. Going back to the school, that stopped. Otherwise, till like I was late 30s, early 40s, the dream was always recurring of repeating class 12. You maybe wonder why class 12. I'm not going to share the story fully, right? Repeating class 12, and then say all my classmates, they all finished their college, university, and I was repeating class 12. Very strange dreams. Okay, so the point was that there's so much of stress and tension in the dream, repeating class 12. Why? I'm already in my late 30s, still sitting class 12, right? So all of these were happening in my dream. Okay, let's say I wake up and I get a relief. You getting it? I get a relief. Okay, tell me, all these things that I saw, very young students who are like 20 years younger than me, sitting with my classmates, right? And even the professor or the teacher, you might junior to me, my teacher now, right? So these very strange dreams happening. So all these people I look at in the classroom, all these details that I was seeing in the dream, tell me, when I wake up, all these details came from where? From my own mind. You getting it? Which mind? From my dreaming mind. Dreaming mind is a subject or the object? Subject. Okay. So in the dream you saw all these things and you feel so sad, right? You feel so sad. Okay, my classmates. And look at all these. All these 20 years younger than me, my classmates now, right? So all the details that you see in the dream, you saw them as from the object or from the subject? From the object. When you wake up, you realize that they are from the subject, not from the object. From the subject. From the subject means like from the projector, movie projector. Right? Projector, not from the screen. Okay, so what we're going to learn is that not only this dream which is coming from you purely from your subject, we will soon learn that everything that exists in this universe, they all come from your subject, from your mind, right? From your mind, everything. And don't believe in them blindly. Don't believe in this concept blindly. This is something that we have to learn. This is something that we have to gain conviction in. This is so important. We must gain conviction in this. And we will surely gain conviction in this. Guaranteed 100%. This is like foreign mathematics. 2 plus 2, 4. 4 plus 8, 12. So this is like this. This is like mathematical calculation. You will get there. Once you get there, you will be just baffled to see that, wow, this is a wonder. What a relief. Sensing that everything that happened in the dream, the ghost chasing you, and you're sitting for the class 12 exam, even after completing class 12, after 20 years going back to class 12, all this stress, tension, anguish, the moment you wake up, what a relief that you get, what a relief. Knowing that all what happened, it was not really from the object, they all come from a subject. What a relief comes to me. You getting it? Okay, so this is a liberation. This is a freedom. This is a release from the mental stress, mental anguish, and so forth. Okay. If this is what I share with you now, what could be your next question? Anyone? Anyone? What I said is that not only the dream, not only the contents of the dream coming from your mind, are they coming from your mind? Everything that exists in the universe, they all equally arise from your mind. Meaning everything is subjective real, nothing is from the object, everything is empty from the object. Right? This is what I'm saying. And I began by telling you that this concept, we don't have to take them blindly. So I'm encouraging you to ask questions. So now I've come to this point where I said that not only the dream, everything that exists in this universe, they're like dream, they're all coming from my mind. They're all subjectively real. Nothing objectively exists. This is what I'm saying now. So from this, any questions which can take us a little further from this point? Anyone?
How to experience that? How to experience that?
How to experience what?
That everything is from the subject.
Very good. How can I know? Right? How can I know that everything is coming from the subject? How can I know that nothing really exists objectively? Right? This is a good question. Badriji, same? Okay, same question. So this is how we should proceed. Yes?
And if everything is from the subject, then what is the use of doing all the work? What is the use of doing the karmas and all?
Okay, so let's repeat it.
If everything is from the subject, then what is the use of doing the work? Why we should do the karma?
Okay, so first I think there are two questions to this. First one is, how can I know? How can I be convinced that everything is coming from your mind, everything is subjectively real, nothing is subjectively? One, how can I know this? Second part of this is that if everything is purely subjective, purely coming from your mind, then so what's the point of studying all these things? Nothing is really there, right? Even the study. Even the diploma course is also coming from the mind. So what's the point? What's the point of studying this? This is your question, right? Okay, very good.
I just wanted to qualify that a bit further.
Yes.
How do I gain conviction in what you're saying when faced with daily situations at that point?
Okay, so the first question is, how can I be convinced? How can I know that things exist, that things all exist subjectively, nothing exists objectively? And then related to this is that, how can I be convinced of this fact, particularly when I am confronted with challenges of daily life? For example, say the job demotion, no promotion getting, right? Okay, and then they say the conflicts from my in the family conflicts, and then at the workplace conflicts, and so forth, and the loss of the near and dear ones. So there, how can I see that it's like a dream, it's real? Okay, this is one thing. Then the next question is, and then after all, right? After all, if everything is something from the subject, then nothing's really there. If nothing's really there, what's the point of coming to Tibet House to study Dharma course, right? Okay, so all these things are to be dealt with. Okay, so for that matter, what I like to first share with you is two things, two questions. First question: to what extent you understand emptiness? To what extent you will understand emptiness depends on how successful you are in giving answers to these two questions. First question: do things exist? Do things exist? Question one. What is the answer?
Yes.
Okay, don't give the answer from who you are. Give the answer from the point of view of you have already attended some, say, the classes of Nalanda diploma course. From that point of view, give me the answer. Do things exist?
Subjectively or objectively?
They don't exist inherently. Some say they exist. Some say they don't exist. Okay. Okay. Those who say that, yes, they do exist, did you learn it from Tibet House diploma course? Or those who said that they don't exist inherently, did you learn it from Tibet House diploma course? Or those who say, no, they don't exist, is it what you have learned from Tibet House diploma course? This is the question. These are the questions. Okay, so the point is, now that you are a part of a very systematic study, not under diploma course, so therefore you must be very precise with the answers, and more importantly, very precisely listen to the question. My question is very straightforward, right? My question is very straightforward. What is my question?
Do things exist?
Do things exist? Very straightforward. I did not ask, do things exist inherently? I did not ask this question, right? Okay, so my question to you, do things exist? What is your answer?
Yes.
Huh? Yes, of course, yes. Don't trust my face, right? Just speak your mind. Yes, of course, things exist. If things don't exist, why should you have to come to Tibet House? Well, why should we have to do diploma course is non-existent then? Why should we have to do that? This is the question, right? So therefore the point is, yes, things do exist. If you say things do exist, you are freed from the extreme of absolutism or nihilism. You are freed from the extreme of nihilism. You are not saying that things don't exist. If you say things don't exist, you're going to fall into nihilism. So emptiness is not nihilism. If you give the answer to the first question, you are not touching the concept of emptiness. First question, you are not touching the concept of emptiness, right? Okay, the first question, do things exist? What is your answer?
Yes.
Yes, things do exist. When you say yes to the first question, you are freed from the extreme of nihilism, right? Now, only if your answer is yes to the first question, then I will ask the second question that then becomes related to the emptiness. Second question is, do things exist objectively?
Yes.
Objectively, subjectively. Okay, my second question, do things exist objectively?
Yes.
Yes. Huh?
Both ways.
Do things exist objectively? This is my question.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now speak from the point of view of what you learned from Nalanda diploma course, not necessarily that you should have gained conviction in this, right? And I will not ask you how things don't exist objectively. You don't be afraid of that, because you can say that you did not teach us, right? My question to you, from what you've learned thus far, is, okay, second question, do things exist objectively? What's the answer? From what you've learned, you can say that you taught us that it is not, right? So things don't exist objectively. Okay, only when you say no, things don't exist objectively, only when you say no to the second question, then you touch emptiness. You're getting it? So therefore, emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. Emptiness doesn't mean that diploma course does not exist. Law of karma does not exist. Things do not exist. This is not the connotation. The moment you say law of karma does not exist, things don't exist, you fall into nihilism. Okay, so therefore never ever forget these two questions. In fact, during one of the very big, very important conference, somebody who is actually respected for being very learned, said that in Buddhism there's actually no self, anatta, selflessness, no self. Now, no really exists from Buddhism, which means that however much people respect a person, if respect for the learning of Buddhist philosophy, that is wrong respect, because the person does not know these two questions. This person is mixing the two things up, two questions. What's the first question? Do things exist? What is the answer?
Yes.
Yes. If you say no, there's no room for you to go to this second question, right? Then the emptiness is far away. Concept of emptiness is far away. Ultimate reality is far away. So the first answer must be that things do exist. Okay, even if we meditate here, we all see emptiness directly. Daily traffic will not stop. Daily traffic will continue, right? Okay, and then daily pollution will continue, right? So the point is that they say with understanding of emptiness, things will continue to exist. Which means that the first question, do things exist? Answer is yes. Only if you say yes to the first question, you're free from the extreme of nihilism, and then you are eligible to go for the second question. What's the second question? Do things exist objectively? What's the answer? No. Very good. Okay. No. Only then you're getting closer towards emptiness. And this answer, things don't exist objectively. This answer, when you give this answer, there are so many layers of understanding. There are so many layers of understanding and insight into this emptiness, which I'm not going to go into detail at this point. So we will have a separate the mini classes on what constitutes the ultimate reality. Okay, now to give you a quick clue. If things don't exist objectively, then things don't exist. Hey, if things don't exist objectively, do you mean to say that nothing exists then? Things exist. How do they exist then? Subjectively. Very good. Things exist. They exist subjectively. Okay, now in this connection, then the question arises, how can I know that things exist subjectively? You're getting it? This is very important. How can I know that things exist subjectively? Okay. Last time I gave the example of rainbow. You remember that? I gave the example of rainbow. So say you see a rainbow 1 kilometer away from Tibet house, and you and a very young boy, age 5, with you, and the boy will ask you to what? Ask you to take you there. And if you take the child there, you're also a small child. If you take the small child to where the rainbow is appearing, from where the rainbow is appearing, if you take the child there, the child requests you to take him there. If you take him there, you are also a small child. Why? Because why the child is asking you to take him there? Because the child thinks that closer you go towards the object, the child thinks that you will get the rainbow and you can play with it. So, if you are someone who is matured, you will not take the child there, and you will tell the child that you will not get this rainbow closer there. If you want to enjoy this rainbow, stay at distance. Keep a distance, right? Keep a distance and enjoy it. Okay. So, from this what we learned is, closer you go to this object disappears. You're getting it? Now imagine that you are 1 kilometer away from me. You're 1 kilometer away from me, and you are seeing me in water. You are seeing me in water. Oh, visualize in water, right? How can you evaluate whether I'm in water or what you're seeing as a mirage? How can you evaluate that? Huh? By coming closer to me.
Whether the water is there.
Yes, to see whether the water. How can you see that? Because you are 1 kilometer away from me. Okay, so how many you agree with the answers? 3 of them. They said that. How to evaluate that what you are seeing as water or that is a mirage is coming closer to us when this water, the seeming water appears. From where it appears, you go closer, right? This is how you evaluate. How many you agree with that? Raise hands. Okay, how many don't agree with them? If you don't agree, can you just give a suggestion to evaluate whether what you are seeing is water or is a mirage? Okay, so most of you agree, in fact all of you agreed with this, with the answers, that you should come closer to the place from where the object appears as water. Okay, coming closer, you see that there's no water at all there. There's no water at all there. So what would you conclude? What you earlier saw was not water, it was a mirage. This is what you would conclude, right? So mirage connotes what? Subjective existence or objective existence? Subjective existence. And water connotes what? Subjective existence or objective existence? Objective. You getting it? So the water and mirage, of the two, mirage is what we can consider as, of course, this is coming from the mind. And the water, you say that is more from the object. Now, what we're going to learn here is that not only the mirage, not only dream, not only rainbow, everything that exists in this universe, they all come from the subject, from the mind. You getting it? Okay. Now, to apply, okay, so before we talk about the application, what I'd like to share with you here is that, okay, these are wonderful examples like mirage, dream, rainbow, right? These are all wonderful examples. Okay, by the way, how many of you drive a car? Raise your hands. And how many of you drive car or bikes? Raise your hands. Okay, and how many of you know which lane to drive if you are to drive? If you are to drive, even though you may not know how to drive. I don't know how to drive, right? But I know where to. If you have to drive, I know where to drive. Okay, which lane will you drive? Right lane or the left lane?
Left.
Huh?
In India.
In India, left.
Okay, in India, left lane. Okay, in India, the left lane tells you. In India, the left lane. The moment you drive on the right lane. Hey, stop. Right lane. Will it talk to you? Say, hey, stop. You are on the wrong lane. Then who tells you that it is in the wrong lane? The road doesn't tell you. Who tells you that it's the wrong lane? What happens? If you drive in the right lane, what happens? Traffic police are there, right? Traffic police, you what? They will fine you. You're getting it? They'll fine you. They'll fine you. Why they fine you? Because you're in the wrong lane. And who decides that is the wrong lane or right lane? Tell me.
Law of the country.
Huh?
Law of the country.
Law of the country. Law of the country. Right? Okay. Law of the country. Say 400 years ago. Okay, by the way, is there anyone who can tell me when in India, when was the first car or when was the first vehicle that came to India? Any idea? Huh?
Around
1800. 18?
1750. No.
Okay, let's say 1800, right? 1800, the first car came to India, right? Which lane is correct? 1800. Say you are in this car. Which lane is correct? Left or right? Both are correct. Right? You agree with me? You must. Okay, what I'm sharing with you is a little funny, but you have to understand it, right? Okay, he says something about the old time. I'm not interested. If you don't understand, if you don't really follow these points, then you will really not appreciate the depth of this philosophy. You're getting it? So what happened? The first time the car came to India, like 1800, right? You can drive both ways. Okay. And in fact, it was so momentous for me when I was in Sikkim. Sikkim, there was the photograph exhibition of the photo exhibitions. And there was one photograph, very interesting photograph, where there was a Tibetan guy standing next to a car, next to a jeep. And do you imagine what is that car was in Tibet? Imagine what was the what do you call it,
Number.
number plate. Imagine what is the number of that number plate of that car? Imagine, huh? Yeah, one. It's very interesting. It says Tibet 3 because there are only 3 cars, right? It's a real photo. It's not the drawing. It's not a painting. Tibet 3, right? Very interesting. So, tell me, that car, when that car was there, which lane was correct? Huh? Both are correct. You can drive it any way you like, right? People around, they'll be so fascinated to see you driving on the right, left, both people enjoy, right? No rules. Then what happens? Then more and more cars come in, more and more cars come in. Then these cars are meant to make your life easier, to cut the distance, to save your time. Then more and more cars come in, and then traffic jam happened. And then walking will take you just 1 hour. It can take you 2 hours with the traffic jam. So then the government says this is a very serious matter, right? How the laws are created, how the traffic rules are created. Government says this is a very serious matter. Even the Prime Minister could not reach to the place, intended place, right? There's a problem. So how to resolve the problem? Then the government, what did they do? They called experts. Right? This is what they do. The government, they give the responsibility to the university experts, university professors, becoming conferences, right? And this was, okay, so what should we do now? Right? What should we do now? Okay, it doesn't matter. Let us first let all the cars in one direction to go, right? Of course, fine. But then at a crossroad, if the other car has to wait. Why should they have to wait, right? So instead, if we make a lane, then always drive to the left, no problem, right? No problem, you can keep driving to the left, and then no car will come directly head-on towards you. Other will go on the other side. Okay, that's a good idea. So, which lane? Which lane? Okay, so for, say, in India, because the cars, we all came from from England, the steering is which side?
Right.
To the right side. So left is more sensible. No, which should we ride? Left, right? Okay, we have to ride left. Okay, always left. Anybody who drives on the right side, you will be under penalty. So this is how the rules come into being. Traffic rules come into being. These traffic rules are known as the conventions. You're getting it? Conventions pertaining to the traffic rules is known as the traffic is known as the traffic rules. Okay. So the point is that, tell me, these traffic rules or the traffic conventions, who created them? Human beings created. Human beings, their hands created or their thinking created? Their thinking created. So the thinking, this thinking is subject or the object? So this subject decides the conventions of the traffic rules. You're getting it? So how the subject plays a very important role to decide what is their rules, regulations, so forth. Okay. So therefore, we see that just as the traffic rule is coming purely from the subject, from a thinking mind, from the subject, likewise all phenomena, they exist, come into existence purely by the subject. Okay, so with this,
one human being has created a traffic rule, but for another human being, it is not come from the subject, it is come from the object. Some human beings have created the traffic rule, so for them it is coming from the subject. But for another human being, those who saw that it is existing, how they will say that it is from the subject?
okay, so let's say, so the question is that, say, 1900, now the traffic started to become more heavy, and then the convention was created, right? Today, 21st century, what is it, 21st or 20th century? 21st century. 21st century, the young ones, they have no clue when these rules were created, when these conventions were created. They have no clue, but they are following the rules, right? For them, the traffic rule is objectively real. For the people who first created them, traffic rule is subjective. This is what you're saying? Okay. So the answer is that subject-object. Object means the road, right? Where's the traffic? It's in the mind or it's on the road? Road. That is the object. That's the object. Subject means your mind or anybody's mind with respect to the road. Road is the object. Road is the object. Which lane is the correct lane, right? The road or the lane, that is the object. And the mind, which is responsible for the creating convention, this is the subject. This subject. So the subject may not necessarily be your subject. It can be the subject of somebody else as well. And now you say that you're seeing this lane, the left lane. Okay, this is the correct lane. You are saying this, but the road will not tell you. Road is the object, your mind is the subject. The road will not tell you that you are on the correct lane. Your mind tells you. You're getting it? So your mind is the subject and the road is the object. In other words, as long as, for the time being, as long as you get some clue, yes, the traffic rules are all coming from the subject, not from the object. You're getting it? If you get it, the dream is coming from the subject, not from the object. Mirage is coming from the subject, not from the object. With these examples, with these many examples, you come to realize that, okay, things can be coming from the subject. And of course, this is how things come into being by the subject. To understand this, there are so many layers. How many layers? There are so many, but if you can understand 5 layers, it will be good enough to understand all of them. 5 layers. If you do the 5 layers today, then the next Sunday, the number will reduce to half. I know that, right? The attendance will reduce to half, right? Now we're getting lost. Okay, we don't understand anything. Okay, so for the time being, let's take a very safe journey. Very safe journey. You're getting it? So the point is that with these examples, we come to realize that things can. There's something, our subject, our mind has a tremendous power to create things like the dream, like the traffic rules, like the mirage, like the rainbow, and so forth. Okay, with this, tell me, what am I doing?
Drinking the water from the glass.
Drinking water. And our dear friend Yash will say you are drinking H2O because he's from biochemistry background. And then anyone from physics. And then of course our Palash will say that you are drinking electrons, protons, neutrons. He's from physics background. You're getting it? And others like me will say that you are drinking water. Right? Okay, which of the 3 answers is correct? Drinking water, drinking H2O, drinking electrons, protons, neutrons. Which of the 3 answers is correct? Hey, huh? All are correct. All are correct. Okay. All are correct, right? Okay. Let's say there are all of us. Let's say there are, I know that there are some rebels here. Right, rebels here, but be kind to me. Right? Let's say that we all love flowers. I know that someone says, I don't love flowers. Right? Okay, let's imagine that we all love flowers. Okay, now I'm showing this flower. Okay, what are you seeing? I'm seeing flowers. I'm seeing a flower. Okay, now you look at the same object through electron microscope. What do you see? You will see millions of atoms. You're getting it? You will see millions of atoms. This is a fact. Initially, say the same thing, the same object you can see through electron microscope. You keep fine-tuning the electron microscope. Keep fine-tuning the electron microscope. First, what you will see is that, okay, let's say, so this is not really, okay, this is fine. Anyway, this is a fake flower. So let's say this is a real, very tender, real flower, right? Very tender, blossoming flower. So this flower, you look at it electron microscope through keep fine-tuning it. First, you will see the tender leaf, the tender petals. Then keep fine-tuning that. You will see that, say, the first, what we see as a very smooth, tender color combination, very tender. Okay, just anyone, raise your hands, those who have, in your life, you have seen a flower which is so tender, freshly blossoming, and which really pulled your mind. Presents 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay, many. And how many of you have listened to music? The music is such that where your mind is very relaxed, you don't have the exam tension and so forth, just very relaxed. And then you listen to music, a particular music which really pulled your mind, which literally inside your body, you could feel that your mind is like moving, as well, like literally just moving and pulled, right? Okay, it's so like you melt into this music. How many of you had that experience? Very good. Okay, some people, when you go to the beach, right? Say the sunsetting, and you see the ocean very placid. When you're there, you see the majesty of this vision, this view, this scene, the scenic, that your mind melts into it and saw the wonder and the awe of this. How many have that experience? Oh, wonderful, amazing. Okay, so many of you have that experience. I do not have that experience. I think with music, once I remember when I was young, something that happened, and then reading one article on the monarchy. On the English monarchy, I was reading an article. The English was so beautiful. The English, the structure, the use of the words, the structure, the flow is so beautiful that as I was reading this, my mind literally, I could feel that my mind was like moving like a magnet, and the magnet moves and the iron filings also move. That kind of feeling, I got that feeling. And even today, I was just craving to get such books with such beautiful English, right? I could not get it after that. Okay, so what I'm saying is that, say, the one is the perception, flower. And then, say, when you look at the same object, the flower, through electron microscope, what you see is the perception changes. Perception changes. You getting it? So first, you will see, okay, what I'm going to say is that when it does happen in your life, you see something which is so enticing, which as though like makes your mind to melt in it, right? Your mind fuses with the object. It just blends with it. When that happens, you are seeing the beauty of the object. When you see that experience is very precious. Don't forget that experience. Don't forget this experience. They are so important experience. Okay, so now let's say the flower, the beauty of the flower. So this flower, when you subject this to electron microscope, what we see is that the beauty of the tenderness, and the tenderness of the flower will slowly disappear. And then you start to see the flower is a little hairy, Hairy means the tenderness disappears, no tenderness. It's hairy. And then slowly you will start the demarcation of the cells. Demarcation of cells, very fine demarcation. You will start seeing that. Then you will start seeing the cell membrane cracks. Then you start to see the cracks. The cracks are nothing but the cell demarcation. Then through further fine-tuning electron microscope, you'll start seeing the cells very prominent with the cell membrane. Further fine-tuning this, you will see the cells, the nucleus at the center, with the cell membrane and the cytoplasm inside with the nucleus. Through further fine-tuning this, you will start to see the inside of the nucleus, the chromosomes. You getting it? Okay. So when you reach to this level, the original version of your perception of the flower, the beauty disappears. Right? So they're the chromosomes. Okay, in the school textbook, in the school biology textbooks, right? What is the chromosome like? The beautiful cross X, right? Actually, it's not as beautiful as that. It's very repulsive, obnoxious to look at. The striped, snake-like, things. This is what is chromosome, right? So when you look at it, the beauty disappears. If you are looking at the same object, your reaction is emotional reaction is very different because of the change in the perception. You getting it? So there, what happened to this flower? Beautiful flower. It disappears. Okay, don't forget what we did. How did you evaluate? How did you evaluate? What are you seeing? What are you seeing is a flower? No. What are you seeing is water or it's a mirage? How do you evaluate them? You go closer towards the object. Okay. Don't forget what R.N. Nagarjuna said. R.N. Nagarjuna. And of course, for the time being, if you read R.N. Nagarjuna's classics, such as Mula Madhyamika Karika, the fundamental wisdom of the middle way, the classics, don't expect that, okay, I'm so lucky, now I'm meeting with R.N. Nagarjuna's text, even not the other text, but the classic one, you read it, you will not understand anything, right? There are other parts of that, the other texts which he wrote, you can read them, you can understand them to some extent, but his classics such as particularly Mula Madhyamika Karika, the fundamental wisdom middle way, that you read it now, you will not understand it. So, but the concept written there is so profound. If you discover that, this is the greatest wealth and this is the greatest legacy that we can possibly take with us. And this is the greatest legacy. This is the one which will untangle you, which will free you from the emotional imprisonments. Right? Okay. So the point is that when you look at initially when you look at the flower, it was so enticing. Then you look at the same object, flower, through electron microscope, you see these things, and slowly then the feeling of the attraction stops, and the feeling of aversion arises. Look at the chromosomes. Then you keep fine-tuning electron microscope. Even this chromosome, you'll see that is just nothing but made of the DNA molecules. And through further fine-tuning this, you will see that there's nothing but made of the atoms. Molecules are made of the atoms. Okay, and the atoms are beautiful or they're ugly? Hey, atoms are beautiful or ugly? They're not beautiful, not ugly. You're getting it? They're neutral. So now initially there was the attraction. Very beautiful. Then when you see the chromosomes, it's very ugly and unattractive, aversion. Then you see on the atomic level, neutral. You getting it? The same object can trigger 3 different emotions: attachment, aversion, and neutral. You're getting it? Same object. There's no change in the object. Simply change your perception and emotions change. Your emotional reaction changes. You're getting it? Okay, from this, if you are to remember what R.N. Nagarjuna said in his text, Mula Madhyamika Karika, if the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Let me repeat this again. What Origination said in the Ratnamala, the precious garland. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Okay, let us all say this 3 times together. Let us say this 3 times together, right? Okay. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Okay, don't forget this. Likewise. Okay, look at this flower now. How do you see this flower? Do you see this flower like a dream or nothing really so objectively there? You see the flower as objectively real or as subjectively real? How does this flower appear to you? Okay, there are 2 questions. How does the flower appear to you? This is first question. Second question, how does the flower exist, right? How does the flower appear to exist and how does the flower exist? 2 questions. First question. First question. How does the flower exist? Objectively, subjectively? Subjectively. How does the flower appear to exist? Objectively, subjectively? Objectively. Very good. Okay, so when somebody asks a question, you must be very precise with your answers. You getting it? How does flower exist? Objectively, subjectively is one question. How does the flower appear to exist? Objectively, subjectively. 2 questions. Okay, my question to you, of the 2 questions, my question to you is, okay, look at this flower and tell me, how does the flower appear to exist? Objectively, subjectively?
Objectively.
Objectively. Okay. Now, if the flower does exist objectively, what we have learned from Nagarjuna is that if the mirage were to be water, then why not those close by the mirage see water? Likewise, if this flower were to exist objectively, why not I see this flower as I go closer towards the object? You getting it? Okay, I'm applying what Nagarjuna said related to the mirage. I'm applying this to the flower. What did Nagarjuna say? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Okay, now I apply this to the flower. If this flower were to exist objectively, why don't I see this flower as I go closer to the object? You getting it? Okay, now we go closer to the object. Our eyes can see the flower more closely, or with the electron microscope we can see the flower more closely. Electron microscope, right? So how our eye sees this is very gross, and how the electron microscope, through electron microscope, what we see is very, very close to the object. Okay, with the use of the electron microscope, what do you see? You first see the cells, then see the nucleus, then see the chromosomes. You getting it? Okay. When you see the chromosome, what is your reaction? When you see the chromosome, what is your reaction? Attachment or aversion? Aversion arises. Okay. When you have aversion, which means that you are not seeing the beautiful flower anymore. You agree with me or not?
Yes.
Okay. Now tell me, if I ask this question to you, where is this beautiful flower? What's the answer? It's not there. You getting it? It's not there. So therefore, when I drink this, most of us will say that you are drinking water, and then Yash will say that you are drinking H2O, and then Palash will say that Palash and Vivek, both of them. Vivek is also from engineering, right?
Yeah.
So both of them will say that you are doing electrons, protons, neutrons, right? And the emotional reaction is very different. If you see that I'm drinking water, you feel happy. If you see that I'm drinking electrons, protons, neutrons, you will not be happy, right? Electrons, protons, neutrons, even the rock also have. Even the dirty things also have, right? Likewise, H2O, same, right? Two hydrogen, one oxygen, hydrogen, oxygen. Hydrogen, oxygen is everywhere. You're getting it? So therefore, to see that it's water, that gives you a very different feeling. To see this electron versus neutrons, your emotional reaction is very different. Likewise, seeing this flower, seeing this object as a flower, there's a feeling of appeal. Seeing this object as electrons, the chromosomes, made of chromosomes, then aversion arises. Seeing this object to be made of atoms, feelings neutral. You agree with me? You agree with me? Okay, now, which of the three perception is the closest to the object? Seeing flower, seeing chromosomes, seeing atoms. Which of the three is the closest to the object? Seeing the atoms. Okay, when you see this on the atomic level, what happened to the flower? Flower's no more there. You're getting flower disappears. So therefore, you now come too close to the object disappears. Which means that the object of flower does not exist objectively. You're getting it? Flower does not exist objectively. If you want to enjoy flower, don't use electron microscope. Use your naked eyes. Right? If you want to enjoy the rainbow, don't go too close to the object. Keep distance and watch it and enjoy it. You're getting it? So therefore, things don't exist from the object. Things exist from the subject, from distance. Only from distance you will see this. Now, I'm sure that most of you will not, yes, it's a little hazy, right? I cannot say no to what he's saying, but I cannot say yes also to what he's saying. There's hazy that's coming to mind, right? Okay, because this haziness is there, the Buddha, after becoming enlightened, he did not teach for 49 days, right? He did not teach for how many days? 49 days. Why? He said that the subject matter that he discovered, the reality that he discovered is so profound that hardly he found any person who can fathom the depth of this teaching. So he said, I'll rather return to the woods in silence, right? Okay, so this concept is, of course, complicated, and of course, requires invest a lot of energy, effort, and also the time. And once you discover that, this is the ultimate release from all the fears of life. You getting it? Okay. So now, say that, okay, now a quick exercise. Look at the other person sitting next to you. Okay, some are too serious, they're looking at the book. Right? Okay, just look at the other person, it doesn't matter. Okay, most of you are smiling, right? Although I didn't really say the smile, but you're smiling. Okay, now the same person who made you smile, when you look at that person, just think of the same person in your mind. Don't look at that person now. Don't look at that person. Just close your eyes and think of the same person who made you smile. Okay, luckily nobody's smiling now. Very good. Okay, open your eyes. If you smiled, people will send you to mental hospital. If you smile now, when you look at the other person, if you smile, no problem. No problem. But actually, it's a kind of mental problem. It's a kind of mental problem. It's a kind of mental problem. But because so the story which I shared with you earlier, right? The king. You remember that? The king consulted the astrologer. Did I share the story?
No.
No. Okay. Once there was a king. And the king, every year he used to seek advice from his very prominent astrologer as to what about the problems or any good things happening in the year. The astrologer made a not really good prophecy. So what he said was that, okay, so this year, and you should be very careful with the rainwater. Rainwater is going to be a poisonous rain, and that anybody who drinks it will go crazy mad. So, king, you should be taking care of your water, drinking water. So water comes from where? Then, like 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, where did the water come from? From the well. So the king made sure that his well is covered so well, so that no rain water goes in. And the common people, they have no clue. So the rain showered, and people who drank from this rainwater, they all became crazy. So who was not crazy? Only the king and his maybe immediate family. And common people, they're all, they're all equally crazy. Say they don't see themselves as crazy. So they see one person's crazy. Who's that? The king, right? And the common people, they are so worried. They say, what happened to a king? A king has become crazy, now he's mad, right? So the king was getting this feedback from his minister all the time, that people are worried that you are crazy, right? So he realized that the best thing is that, but the people, do they realize they themselves are crazy? He said, no, only you are the crazy one. So he also drank this rainwater, all right? So which means that all of us are crazy. So we see that, oh, this is a crazy man, he has to send to a mental hospital. The person who said it also is crazy. So we, when you smile, the fact that we smile, when you see the other person, you smile, automatically, involuntarily you smile, which means there's some mental problem, right? You smile, not involuntarily, for some reasons you smile, then it's fine, no problem. Okay, how many you smile, tell me, raise your hands. Okay, now raise your hands, those who say that this smile came out naturally. Raise your hands. I'm smiling now. Right, you're also smiling now. So we're all crazy together. Right? Okay, so the point is that this is, okay, listen, why I'm saying this is that when you look at the other person, you are seeing something. When I ask you to imagine that person, you're not smiling. Tell me why. It's the same picture. Other person, when you look at the other person, you smile, but the same picture you visualize, you don't smile. Why? Tell me, anyone. Anyone. Raise your hands.
It was not objectively, that person when we are thinking was not objectively real.
Okay, you know that when you imagine this person, okay, this is just my mind creating it. When you know that it's coming from my mind, you don't smile. When you think that it's coming from the object, you invariably smile. You're getting it? Invariably smile, or if you see the other person as, there's somebody who create problem on you, then invariably you become angry. You're getting it? Okay, so the point is that when you know that the object is coming from my mind, you become very stable. When you see the object is coming from the object, your emotions are disturbed, which means that it has lost the control. Involuntary smile, involuntary become angry, and so forth. You getting it? So, coming from the subject means empty of objectivity, empty of objective existence. Empty of objective existence is known as emptiness or the ultimate truth. You getting it? Okay. So, this, no doubt, we all, in our life, those who are young, okay, this girl, how old are you? 20, Namsala, 19, okay, anyone who's younger than 19, or, okay, fine. So the point is, what I'm saying is that we have our own many years of life experience, 20 years, 19 years of life experience, 20 years of life experience, and so forth, 30 years of life experience. In this life, no doubt we had been through difficult times. Okay, how many of you in your life have never been through difficult times? Raise your hands. Everyone had been through difficult times. Okay, so this is very true. Whereas this meditation, to go closer to this object and see the object disappears, right? This is a very crude meditation, very coarse, very crude meditation. Is not really getting near to emptiness, but it's a very good starting point on emptiness. With this meditation, even though it is very crude, very coarse at the moment, this meditation can be incredibly healing factor for your emotional disruptions, right? Where you're emotionally disturbed, you meditate on this, and of course, if possible, we have to learn this more systematically, little more systematic, and of course, to really study this very thoroughly, it may take us many years, but to learn it, good enough for you to meditate on it, you can learn it within like 10 days or 15 days or 1 year, right? Within this span of time, you can learn pretty well how to meditate on this, and then to see how effective this meditation is depends on how extensively you learn about this philosophy. So the five layers of emptiness that I was talking about, if you learn all these, then this will make you to have a very crystal clear understanding of what emptiness is. Then on that basis, your emotional states can easily be under control, right? You will not be affected by external factors. And even if you go through difficulties, like the question asked by the Badriji, right? How can I apply this in our very challenging day-to-day lives? So there, and of course, it will take little time to get there, right? So with this meditation, it is very healing. In fact, they say several of my friends, and of course depends on the individual, and some say they say just exposed to this for 3 days, and they apply this in the life challenge, and the fear that they had dissolves instantly. Some of them shared the experience with me. Okay, very encouraging, and for sure this is no exception to them, right? It is what can happen to everyone, provided we go through these steps in a very systematic way. This is very healing, right? For your academic learning, for your to use as a means to face the challenges of your life. This is extremely the beneficial meditation. Okay. Questions? Yes. Okay. By the way, there are several questions here. First, I'd like to invite one question here. Okay, speak.
My name is Aditya Sushma. From this class and from the last class, both the questions are correlated. Last time I asked you, where is the mind? And you gave me an answer. This class, we were, I was analyzing, I was observing a lot of things. So, some things came into my head, which I just want to ask you. See, I was observing that here is the mind somewhere. Okay, and everything objective, subjective, I didn't understand very precisely. Everything is something coming from here, from your everything. And how? My question is, how do we empty this portion, this whole portion? How do we empty this portion?
Okay.
I'll reframe the words. If this is the mind and everything is here, how do we empty this?
Okay, so basically, I remember last time we talked about this. I can sense that the question that you're asking is something coming from inside. Very seriously you bring up this question. So to empty, there are two connotations. Empty the misperceptions in your mind and empty the mind. So we don't really have to empty the mind. And if you mean to empty, means to empty the misperceptions. We can rectify the wrong perceptions, and the wrong perceptions can be replaced by the correct perceptions. So that correct perceptions, wrong perceptions will give rise to stress, tension, unhappiness, and the correct perceptions will give rise to happiness, peace of mind, and so forth. So what we need is we need peace of mind. We can discard the miseries by rectifying the misperceptions with the correct perceptions.
Both are part of the mind.
Both are part of mind, yes.
Both are part of the mind. If you go beyond that, both are what you're saying is both are part of the mind.
Yes.
Okay. Whether they're part of the mind. If we go beyond that,
Okay, so
if we
the
go beyond that also, how do we empty the
okay. I got you.
In simple layman's language, how do we empty this portion? It's not what you're saying is both are part of the mind.
Okay, so basically,
Is there any techniques or tools which can empty these portions of the mind? That's a very simple question.
okay, empty the portion of mind. Now, to be very direct, let's say that there's the glass with the water. What do you mean by empty the mind? Is it to remove the water like this? Is this what you're saying? Okay, if this is a connotation, answer is two. I'm going to very technical now because that the question is being stressed. Going too technically, the thing is that so those of us actually what I'm talking now is not really related at this level, but there's no harm in hearing this. You hear this now. Later on, when we actually reach that level of understanding, you'll be very happy that just starting the diploma course, I already heard about it. You'll be very happy. Okay, so here, one thing is on the conventional level, and the other thing is the ultimate level. Conventional level, the mind, this what you call is a mind, cannot be emptied. Conventionally, mind exists, right? Now, in the ultimate domain, we have to reach that level of the ultimate domain, meaning that you have to understand it. Your thinking should reach that level of the thinking of the ultimate domain. In that, when you reach that level, automatically everything is emptied. When you reach that level, so this oftentimes it is described as transcending the likes and the dislikes. Transcending all what comes to our conceptualizations, transcending that. You transcend that makes you to reach the level of the ultimate freedom. This is a little technical. It is possible. For that matter, we have to understand what we have been discussing as emptiness. It will take time. We have to be a little patient. And meanwhile, keep in mind that what Niels Bohr said. Don't forget it, right? Niels Bohr said that if you study quantum physics and if you're not shocked by it, you have not understood quantum physics. Which means that quantum physics is not something that you listen to one lecture and then you ask questions and you get it, right? You're not shocked, you have still not understood it, even if you ask many questions. So the point is that it'll take a little time, and of course, this is more like a preliminary, not a diploma course, is a preliminary to not in a master's course. And the master's course is not for 1 year, it's for 4 years plus 2 years. So therefore, this is, this is how we should be mentally prepared. Okay, so there are a few questions coming up here. One is, it says that this is interesting. Buddha Shakyamuni has asked us to only believe in something after analysis. In other words, we have to accept things through analysis, not through blind faith. But the concept of reincarnation requires a leap of faith. It requires a lot of faith for me. I'm not able to rationally, logically, scientifically accept it. Okay. Since I'm questioning this, what's the distinction between this question and afflictive doubt? If I ask this question, does it fall under the category of the afflictive doubt? Afflictive doubt is negative, is afflictive in nature, right? So this is a very good question. Again, the same thing. About the mind and brain, I'm not going to complicate here. Maybe there are some people who are already very ready. And particularly, I'm very impressed by those people who are already into Narendra Master's course and also doing the Narendra Diploma course. They feel the weight, they feel the importance of these topics. Whereas those of us who are more beginners, we should be a little patient. If because these are the topics which require us to grow first. We have to grow first. Once you grow to some extent, then these topics will make sense to us. So to give you a very quick overview of what I'm trying to say is that for the reincarnation concept, if somebody talks about reincarnation concept, you don't have to take it blindly. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. And the person who's talking about it, the person who talks about the rebirth, the reincarnation, does not necessarily mean that the person has a perfect rational answer. Don't forget it. Right? If you don't get the answer from person A, don't think that the reincarnation is flawed. You go to the second person. If you don't get the answer from the second person, go to the third person. And for your information, the best book, but don't be too quick to write it down. Otherwise, now I'm lucky, I've got this book, right? The best book in this universe. You read it, you will not understand anything. And then you will give up, right? Okay, the best book in this world, I don't know about the universe. In this world, no doubt, the best book on reincarnation, the best, the most sensible, the best meaning, the most sensible, most rational book is Acharya Dharmakirti's book, 7th century AD. Acharya Dharmakirti's book, Pramana Vartika, chapter 2. And this book, you have to study not just once, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Not just be complacent with what you learn from the teacher. You have to read it yourself. First, you have to get the understanding from the teacher. Then try to read it yourself. You have to read it yourself, and then try to look for the deeper and deeper and deeper in the connotations and the interrelations between the different concepts presented in the same book, same chapter, particularly chapter 2. Okay, so then the question is reincarnation. How that was dealt with was, first of all, the question is what reincarnates? What reincarnates? So there, the body, what we have is, we have the body and we have the mind, right? What we have, okay, what I'm talking about is the empirical, on the empirical level. On the empirical level, which means that something which anybody can understand, whether you're a believer or non-believer. I'm not talking anything, I'm not bringing anything which is confined to the believers. Whether you believe in it or not believe, anybody, even the atheists, should be understanding it. This is known as empiricism. Empiricism. So empirically speaking, which is something which can be acceptable by everyone, including the atheists, agnostics, is what we have is, we have the body and we have the mind. That I'm a boy, that I'm a girl, purely because of the body. Whether you're a believer or non-believer, you will understand it. Purely because of the body that, somebody says that I'm a boy, I'm a girl. So that's with the body. And then I'm a compassionate person. I'm a not compassionate person. I'm an intelligent person. I'm a dull person, right? I'm a very stable person. I'm the hyper person, hyper, non-stable. All these are determined by my mind, right? Even the neuroscientists, whether they accept the mind to be different from the brain or not, but they will say that yes, this is a quality of the mind. Okay, so what we see is that from what empirically speaking, on that level, empirically speaking, what we see is that what we have is the body and the mind. And the body, when you die, the body will not continue. No doubt. Right? Body will not continue. Body will be, buried, cremated, or whatever. And if there's something which travels to the next life, it's the mind. And along with the mind, then the self travels. Self travels. Okay, so this self travels. So if you deconstruct the self and then see what travels, it's the mind which travels. The next question. On the basis of this mind which travels, where this mind connects to the next body, that is your rebirth, that is your reincarnation. For that matter, the question is, how do we know that the mind travels? This next question. For that matter, what we need to know is that the mind and the brain is the physical part of you, and the mind is the non-physical part of you. So this mind and the brain, that these two are not one. This is what we have to be convinced of. For that matter, how these two are not one? Again, you have to ask questions. You're getting it? So this is how we explore into the concept of reincarnation. And to ask any question, oh, is it really that the reincarnation exists? Is it really that the Buddha exists? These questions, there are two ways of asking the question. Okay, say, I don't believe in, interesting. I think 2 years ago, there was one young boy, I think he was age 13. And I came to know that he is so fond of football. And I asked him, who is the favorite footballer in the world? The boy said, Messi. Then I told him that, and who they say, do you think that he's the best footballer in the world till date? He said, yes. Then I asked him, what about King Pele? He said that King Pele was good many years ago. If you compare the skills of these two legends, King Pele and Messi, if you compare the skills, Messi is better. This is what he said, right? Okay, what was trying? Why I shared this? Reincarnation, yes.
How to push the two ways to
How?
the two ways to ask the question.
Okay, yes, there are two ways of asking questions. Yes. Okay, if I have a belief, very strong belief, that King Pele is the legendary, the greatest king of the footballers, then this boy can ask this question to me. Are you sure that King Pele is the best legendary? Are you sure? Right? I'm doubtful. Do you think that he's the one? When he's asking this, he's not asking out of curiosity. He was asking to reinforce that Messi is the best. Right? Which means that somehow this question is asked in the form of doubt to undermine that King Pele is the best. So likewise, if I ask, does the Buddha really exist? If this is how I ask, which means that in any case, whatever you say, I'm not ready to accept the existence of the Buddha, right? And then I put in the form of a question, like the doubt. So this doubt is not in favor of out of a pure curiosity, no. Even if you give the best answers, I'm not ready to listen to it. Some people, they already decided what the answer is. And you ask the question, the person asks the question to you, however beautiful answer that you give, the person is not ready to listen to you. Which means that this is afflictive doubt. Where with a pure curiosity, you ask, oh, the Buddha exists. What is Buddha? How does it exist? You ask this question out of pure curiosity. These are not the afflictive doubt. Okay, likewise reincarnation. Third question is there a way to study, understand, believe in the 12 links of link if one does not yet believe in reincarnation? Okay, this is a very good question. If one does not believe in reincarnation, is there possibility for one to understand 12 links of dependence? My answer is no. If one does not have the conviction Either you should have a belief or you should have a conviction, deep conviction, right? And of course, somebody who having a belief, not out of conviction, this is not something advisable. But we cannot force that you should have the conviction, you should rationally understand. We cannot force that, right? Some people have belief in it, some people doesn't believe in it. It's the person's choice. Whether you want to believe in reincarnation, whether you don't want to believe in reincarnation, whether you want to study about reincarnation, whether you don't want to study about reincarnation, it's the individual choice. Those people who are keen to learn whether or not reincarnation is possible, then for them, somebody can explain, somebody can suggest books. Whereas somebody in the first place, somebody's not interested, what do you do? We can't do anything, right? So it's not that everybody has to believe in this. The point is, be kind to yourself and be wisely kind to yourself. So these are two masks. On that basis, whatever takes you to become a wisely kind to yourself, go for it. And what makes you unwisely kind to yourself, don't do it. This is the idea, right? Okay. So the point is that if it does not have the belief, okay, but doesn't make any sense, then 12 links of dependent origination, you can study this, there's no harm in it. You can study this, right? But you will not gain conviction in this. You can study this, it's fine. There's no harm in it, it's fine. Okay, any more questions? Any questions? Yes, here. Others?
Yes, sir. What is the difference between these two questions, that two things exist and two things exist objectively? So what are the difference between these two questions, and what does the term things mean here?
Okay, things mean anything that exists. Things mean anything that exists. The flower, the house, the traffic, your happiness, your suffering, your family members, everything that exists falls under this category. Anything that exists. The first question is to explore whether you fall into nihilism or not. Second question is to explore whether you really understand the mode of existence, the real mode of existence. So this is the difference between the two questions. First question is to explore whether you fall into nihilism. Second question, explore whether you understand the real mode of existence. Okay, Yash, you have a question?
Keshava, I have two questions. Since we have discussed reflection, so I wanted to ask that what is the difference between mental and emotional reflection?
Okay, mental affliction and emotional afflictions. Okay, so basically, this is a good question. Okay, now it's the Yash is going into more the detail with the vocabularies. This is a very important point. One thing that we just keep in mind is that afflictions. Okay. One, before afflictions, we have to know the mind. The mind. We have not yet studied psychology at the moment. Mind in general, we can classify the mind into two. One is sensory minds, and the other one is mental consciousness. Okay, what is sensory mind? Okay, pick up this object. What is this? Flower. Okay, what is this object? Nothing. You're getting it? How do you decide this? Whether there's a flower or no flower, how do you decide this? Your eye consciousness, it depends on a physical sense power through which you see the object, you don't see the object, that decides. So this kind of mind which decides the presence or the absence of object by dependence on the physical sense is known as the sensory consciousness. Okay, now do you see the flower? Okay, do you see the flower? Yes. And how do you know that there's a flower in my hand? Your eye consciousness. You have the eye consciousness? Okay. Your eye consciousness which sees the flower, your eye consciousness belongs to whom? To you or to me? Belongs to you. So you keep your eye consciousness seeing the flower. You keep it. You keep it, you keep the eye consciousness is in your hand, right? Okay. Where's your eye consciousness seeing the flower? Your eye consciousness seeing the flower, where's it? Huh? Still with you? You still have, you can see the eyes? You can see the flowers? You don't see. Your eye consciousness seeing the flower dissolves. You getting it? Only when the flower is there, then eye consciousness seeing the flower comes. The moment the object disappears, eye consciousness also dissolves. Eye consciousness seeing the flower dissolves. You getting it? Okay. So which means that that is dependent on the physical object. Physical object. So this consciousness, which comes into being directly by dependence on physical objects, is known as sensory consciousness. Okay. Now, think of the flower in my hand. Think of the flower. Think of the flower in my hand. Think. Okay. I think of the flower. Think of the flower. Okay. Your eyes are thinking, or your mental consciousness thinking? Mental consciousness. Where the physical object has nothing to do. You can, you can imagine this. So this is all happening on the mental consciousness, not sensory. So your mind, overall speaking, can be divided into two. One is sensory consciousness, and the other one is mental consciousness too, right? And all the afflictions that we are talking about, emotional afflictions or whatever, all these afflictions fall under the category of the mental. All afflictions fall under the category of mental. It's not sensory consciousness. It's a mental consciousness. It falls under this category. Right? Okay. So with this mental, so the vocabulary, some people, they may say emotional, what do you call it? Emotional afflictions, mental afflictions. Actually, it means afflictions. You getting it? Okay. Any more questions?
Actually, just one.
Yes, one more.
When we talk about, like in science, we always say objectivity, like, there the subjectivity has no rule.
Yes.
So, because let's say, whether it's Einstein's relativity theory passes all the tests, which is still passing all the tests. So, can we say that here, what the subjectivity that we're talking about, that's another kind of objectivity, like it's a.
Okay, this is a. So since that. Almost all of us, we are from the background in education, particularly modern education. So this, you understand what is meant by objectivity from the modern science point of view. We should be very objective in our analysis. We should be very objective. Okay, so the objectivity. So in science, we don't just speak about the subjectivity. We talk about we need to be objective. We need to be objective. Our subjective mind should not influence what you're doing, right? Our analysis must be very objective. Okay. So this objectivity, what it connotes, how the objectivity is understood in the context of the Buddhist philosophy. These two say the science is purely to be very objective. Likewise, Buddha encouraged the people to be very objective in their approach. So these two tally same. Now in Buddhism, not only to be objective, subjectivity is also taught. Lack of objectivity is the objectivity. What is objectivity? The absence of objectivity is the objectivity. Absence of objectivity is the objectivity. What's objectivity? The absence of objectivity is objectivity. Because the objectivity is the absence of objectivity, then how do things exist subjectively? So the subjectivity becomes objectivity. Okay, never mind, don't worry. Right, so this will come later. Okay, so there are 4 more questions which we will do later, right? So we will quickly do the end direction prayer. 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of our happiness and good. All-powerful chariot say Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as a brave magician summoned about her too realize things as they are. Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praise as the best, but the victorious ones thus go on of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. Chanyo Sanyo Remboje Maya Bana Gyoroche Gyavanyam Baya One Kondo Pevaraisho. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I truly remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain as a share of the Guru Buddha and lead all beings out without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I, on all lives through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the 2 stages. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I demand a full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. The power of the union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protector of both the Dharma and the beings from Snowland. You are the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans or non-humans who hope are managed through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be truly vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stations and the paths. I could attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the Magistry and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even in the course of my life. Okay, good night.